I mean, I think there's a place for megachurch pastors like Stephen Furtick and Mike Todd. They have a wide audience. I've always seen megachurches as like a broad net to share the gospel. And side note, I think megachurches there's a church funnel system. There's megachurches, the broad net, and as people get closer to Jesus and want more, they go to a smaller church. That's what I've seen that, and I've noticed that, because there's one guy in particular. He went to this mega church, and he was like, I wanted more. I wanted more relationship. I wanted more community. I wanted more of Jesus. And he went to a slightly smaller church, and he was like, I still wanted more. And he went to a slightly smaller church, and then he was like, until he was at a church that was like maybe 50 or 60 people, and he was like, it's just real. It's real. It's like real people. There's no agendas. There's no da-da-da-da. There's just... Anyways,
I see where you're coming from. I'm going to play devil's advocate. And I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I'm not saying like I just flat out disagree with you. I definitely see where that comes from. I think Wayne Dyer, I love this quote. One of my favorite quotes ever. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I think a lot of people, they'll go to a mega church looking for exclusivity. A lot of people go to a mega church of like, yeah, I'm going to try this out, but I know I'm going to like a smaller church better. Yeah. And that's exactly what they experience, because that is what they expect the entire time they are there. I've seen mega churches be so intentional about small community. You know, I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law about a similar topic of different churches, different preaching styles, different pastors. And I think we're so quick to be like, well, yeah, that's a good preacher and that's a bad preacher. They're not as gifted in communication. But I'm like, no, that's the wrong way to look at it. They are just as important for the diversity of the kingdom and the body of Christ, because there's 50 people who love that, what we might think would be a boring pastor, like in their teaching. But those 50 people, that is their communication style, and that the way that pastor speaks in that small town and that small church is exactly what that fellowship needs. Just in the same way, the way that mega church pastor preaches to 10,000 people, that's exactly what those 10,000 people need. And all of it builds the body of Christ, and it is all good. And so I think it's important for us to like realize all the differences is what makes it strong and what makes the body of Christ good. It's not this is bad and this is good. It's just different by God's design. And so like what I would push back on is like a funnel of they want a deeper experience, so they go to a smaller church. I think you could have a deep experience and grow in amazing ways with God if you are plugged into a mega church, and that is what you are after. Like, I think a lot of times too many people, and here's natural people sociology is, if you're in a room of 50 people, it is more, the odds are just higher that somebody's going to come up to you and talk to you. Versus if you're in a room of 10,000 people, just the odds are slightly slimmer. And I've experienced this in ministry where people will dog on the ministry. They will complain about the ministry and say, oh, they're cliquish, they're not kind, they're not welcoming, and they won't say a word to anybody. I've had people like that where they're just like, yeah, nobody cares. And I'm like, well, you sit in a corner on your phone. Like
playing Clash Royale or something.
Oh, dude, don't get me started on that. And so I think a lot of times people just experience what they expect at church. What are your thoughts?
Say that again.
People experience what they expect consistently.
I like that. That's good. I think, I mean, I agree, to be honest. I mean, in my mind, the funnel thing, I feel like I've always said that, just because of different like church models.
Right.
But again, reiterating that there are different people for different purposes.
For sure. Absolutely.
But to the main point of just like who making sure we know what we believe and making sure we know who we're listening to is loving Jesus, loving the church, and loving people, testing the spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just knowing what we believe is key to transitioning in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And then what we're putting into our minds also plays a part in that. Because if we're listening to someone that's telling us to do all of the things we're not supposed to do, but we listen to that so much that it's like that just becomes like what our knee-jerk reaction is, then we probably shouldn't listen to them if we know that's not what we're supposed to do. So yeah, I think all of this to say is like, how do you leave something in a healthy way? How do you transition something in a healthy way? Is that one, you have to be in a close relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like the first and foremost thing.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not, then I don't know what you're doing. First off, working at a church, but
Preach. Say that again.
And being in a close relationship with Jesus, knowing what we believe, making sure what we're putting in is pure and good. Those all play such a key part into one, just living a God-like life, a Christ-like life, and really everything that comes out of us needs to be from that kind of place, from that kind of heart.
Yeah, no, that's so good. It's so important and much easier said than done. And maybe just kind of in wrapping up, I'd like, on your church funnel thing, you could turn that funnel upside down and it be a pyramid scheme. No,
Oh, MLM church.
I'm just kidding. But I actually have a friend right now who recently just experienced a lot of church hurt from a really small church. And now they're at a much bigger church and it is so much more healthy and they are in a way better environment. And so I think it's not honestly, this does bother me a little bit whenever like I talk to people of like, yeah, we like this size of church. I'm like, are you more focused on the size or the people? Are you more focused on the size or like the character? Are you more like that's a real question that you should probably ask, because I think sometimes people get too bought into the hype, and hype can go in a little church and a big church. And I think it's important to say, Lord, like, one, do you want me here? Two, like, is everything going on here like honoring and glorifying you? Because just reiterating what I just said, I had a friend leave a small, if I think I could, I would say a toxic church. Actually, let me rephrase that. Not a toxic church, toxic leader. Because there's a difference. There is a big difference there. And I wouldn't even say, even if that church was toxic with a bunch of people, I would say a toxic congregation. I would replace the word congregation with church. Again, because what is the church? It is the body of Christ. And so kind of going back to defining things, I think it's important to be intentional with our language behind there. That they came from a toxic leader and they left it to a bigger church and they're in a much better place.